guys, welcome back. We are looking at Walk Don't Run by the Ventures. Super fun song to play. Nice one to play around with some effects if you want to get some reverb and tremolo in there. Kind of that surf rock sound, if you will. So we got a lot of notes to go through, but I'm going to try and work it out in a manageable way where we're doing some musical phrases rather than just note by note by note by note. I don't want to make it too tedious for you guys and make it digestible, I guess, in pieces that make sense. So the little intro part comes around only at the beginning and then in the middle of the song with the bar chord. So let's just go ahead and walk through that. This is an E-type bar chord, starting off with an A major chord. So I'm from string 6 to 1, 5, 7, 7, 6, 5, 5. And then it's going to be that exact same shape, 2 frets lower, G major, exact same shape, 2 frets lower, F major, and then I just run my bar off of the neck here and maintain the same fingering here with 2, 3, 4, because I'm going to have to slide back up for my E major chord. So that's A major, G major, F major, E major, and then you slide back up and do it all again. So the rhythm is one thing that I see people do when you have a similar shape that you're going to be moving around the neck, in particular when the left hand is moving towards the headstock. I see a lot of people pick their whole arm up and shift it and kind of point that elbow out, and the fingers start doing all these wonky things that you don't want, and it makes everything feel a lot more difficult than it really is. So just make sure that you, as you move, have your guitar in a good position, good sitting position, comfortable, making it comfortable for that left hand. That's super important. And then you just want to glide that left hand over those strings, maintaining that same shape and not trying to keep your fingers in one place and then just moving the arm and dragging the fingers like that. Maybe an obvious thing, but I see a lot of people do it, and a mistake that you don't want to make. So that's the intro. It only comes back once in the middle of the song. So for the remainder of this, we are strumming chords, but we're really strumming like little dyads, 2-note chords, or 2 notes within a chord, a suggested chord. And a lot of it is really a scale. So I'm going to introduce this to the A minor scale or C major scale, however you want to think about it. It's used both ways in this piece. So this is a good opportunity to learn some notes on the fretboard if you haven't done that. And in an ideal position, in first position here, that's where you would want to start learning notes anyways if you haven't or you need a refresher. But just playing around with this scale is going to get your fingers moving around the territory that you're going to be using throughout this entire piece. So let's walk through that. I'm going to go from open string 5, that's going to be the lowest note I'm going to play for right now, and up to string 2, fret 1, through the A minor or C major scale. It's the same group of notes. That's why I'm saying both of the A minor and C major. So starting on A, string 5, open, and then string 5, fret 2 is B, string 5, fret 3 is C, going to string 4, open, D, string 4, fret 2, E, string 4, fret 3, F, now to string 3, open, G, string 3, fret 2, A, string 2, open, B, and string 2, fret 1, C. Walking that back down, string 2, fret 1, and then open, C, B, string 3, fret 2, and then open, A, G, string 4, fret 3, 2, open, F, E, D, and then string 5, fret 3, fret 2, and open, C, B, A. up and down that scale. You could mix up the notes however you see fit, just to get your fingers moving in that position, because it really doesn't deviate from that too much. We do kind of go, we go like one note lower, I think, to a G here on string 6 fret 3, and that's really the only note that gets added. So we'll break this into, like I said, kind of manageable, digestible phrases that make musical sense. So we'll do a couple measures at a time. So jumping right into it, it's going to be string 4 fret 2, string 3 fret 2, open string 5, string 5 fret 2, string 5 fret 3, string 4, open 2 3, string 3, open 2, string 2 fret 1, and then string 2 open. There we pretty much just walked up the A minor scale, what we just went through, right? So we basically did this with the first two notes. And that's the proper rhythm right there. Okay, now we have something similar that follows that immediately. We're going to start on string 3 fret 2, and then string 5 open 2 3, string 4 open 2, and we are going to go to the 3rd fret this time, but we're going to grab a little double stop here. String 4 fret 3 and string 3 fret 2. Play both of those strings together, and then strings 3 and 2 open together. String 3 fret 2 and string 2 fret 1 together. String 3 and 2 open together again. And then back to that original one that we started on, string 4 fret 3 and string 3 fret 2. So that's strings 4 and 3, then open 3 2, frets 2 and 1 on those same strings, open open. So that whole phrase is I'll put all this together after we get through the next couple phrases here. Okay, then we have string 4 2 1 2, and then string 4 fret 2 and open string 3. And then string 4 again, open 2 3 2 open. So those two together. Another double stop here, string 5 fret 3 and string 4 fret 2. A little trill on string 4, open 2 open. Little triplet there. Back to string 5 fret 3, string 4 open. And then we're going to grab string 4 fret 2 and string 3 fret 1. It's an E major chord, but we can just strum those two strings. And I'm alternating my strumming down, up there. So those last two measures that we just did. And then this is going to loop back to the beginning. We're going to grab string 5 fret 2 and pull it off to the open string. So that would sound like this. And it starts all over again. Okay, that whole section, I'll play it a couple times, once slow and then once a little bit faster. Here we go. Starting over right here. Okay, so it goes back to the beginning and you play through that, but we're going to cut off these two measures and play something slightly different. So it goes from, this is basically a first ending and a second ending. So I'm going to play from that same spot, but I'm going to add in the second ending here. So it's going to be... So that's the second ending, and then we get into the bridge here. So it's really the same thing. String 5, fret 3, string 4, fret 2. The little triplet trill again. Back to string 5, fret 3. String 4 open. And then back to string 5, fret 3 instead of the E major chord. Now we jump to this lower note that I mentioned earlier, string 6, fret 3, G. And we're going to walk straight up that scale, string 6, fret 3, open 2, 3 on string 5, open 2, 3 on string 4, and string 3 open twice. So from the second ending to the string 3 open. Then we just jump into some chords here. We got a C major chord, but just string 3 open and string 2 fret 1. You're just going to strum those two strings. So if you have that question of why are two strings, this is normally a C major chord, how is that? It's just part of that C major chord, but there are other instruments taking care of implying that chord. Essentially, everything's working together. So if you strum a little bit more of the C chord, no big deal, but just make sure you have your fingers in the correct spot. So just string 3 open, string 2 fret 1. I did up, up, down, up, down, up. Then into an A minor chord, I'm going to pick the 4th string down and then strings 3 and 2 up. Down on string 4, up on strings 3 and 2. And then just strum the A minor chord. Then I'm going to take that exact same shape on my fingers and I'm going to bounce up to strings 5, 4, and 3 with that same kind of A minor shape or E major shape, however you want to think about it. All right, so I've got finger 2 on string 5 fret 3, finger 3 on string 4 fret 3, finger 1 on string 3 fret 2. It's basically an F major chord, we're just not grabbing that full shape there. So I'm going to pick string 3, 4, 5, and do that again, but a little delay on string 3. And then I'm going to shift my fingers back to that E major chord that we saw originally. String 4, fret 2, string 3, fret 1, and string 2 open. And I'm going to use that same picking pattern, but I'm going to be on strings 2, 3, 4 now. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So again, that's an F major chord there on frets 2 and 3. On string 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Then I shift to my E major chord here. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And the picking direction is down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Strum your A minor chord. And then string 4, fret 2, string 4 open, string 5, fret 3, string 5, fret 2. So let me put the last few measures there together. Let's go from that A minor strum, just letting that ring out. F major chord, E major chord, a little arpeggio, A minor, and then the little bass walk down. And that's going to take you back to the verse section that we just went over. So all of that together, the whole bridge coming out of the second ending. Play it a couple times. Snappy kind of grace note hammer on there. You don't have to do that, but I just kind of hear it that way. And then you're back into. Okay, so that's pretty much everything except we have these two little codas, and they come in at different moments. So I'm just going to walk you through what those are, and then we'll put them together with the verse. So the first one is just a C major chord, and then jump up to this triad, string 4, fret 5, string 3, fret 4, and string 2, fret 3. That's a G major chord, and then you're just going to slide back into a C major chord. So it's C, G, G, C. So that's one of the codas. I mean, there's really not much to it, just a couple of chords. So that's going to come into play from the at the end of the verse. But real quick, let's do coda 2. So it starts on a C major chord as well, and then it's going to jump to an F major chord, which is the same shape that we saw here for the G, on strings 4, 3, 2, frets 5, 4, 3, but same strings, just fret 3, 2, and 1. So that's going to be the F chord. So you play the C twice, play the F twice, and then you're going to slide that up to this C major chord, which is essentially the same chord as we're playing right here, but we're going to lay a bar down on strings 1 and 2. So you slide up, and then I'm on fret 10, 9, 8, 8. So that altogether would sound like this. So one question I get asked a lot is, how do you maintain the notes ringing? Just play around with it, experiment with it. You know, if you're not getting the sound to happen, then just think about how you're applying pressure. But one thing that I like to tell my students is you don't want to have just absolute perpendicular pressure, and you don't want to have absolute, not necessarily horizontal pressure, but you don't want to just be thinking about moving in that direction and then taking your fingers off of the strings. So it's kind of like this diagonal cutting across the neck, where you're applying slight downward pressure into that neck, but allowing yourself the freedom to glide on those strings. You don't want to feel stuck and be grabbing with the thumb too much back there. It's just a guide, right? In most cases, if you think you need to apply this maximum amount of pressure, you probably don't need that. Guitar is, you know, this balance between using the necessary amount of tension, but making sure we also don't apply too much, because we have to use only the necessary amount to be able to play as lightly as needed to do the things that we need to do. If we have too much tension, then we're just going to tire out, and we're going to hurt our hands and fingers and wrists and just be doing a lot of unnecessary things. And if we don't have enough pressure, then we're just not going to hear the notes, right? We're not going to get things to ring out. Okay, so real quick, let's go through the verse with coda 1. So here is where coda 1 is going to go in. So at a little bit faster speed. That's where the drums are going to have a little break, and then it's going to go back into the little bar chord riff, and it's going to start all over again. Now, verse with coda 2. Coda 2 is going to come in right here. It's a measure earlier than coda 1. A little bit faster. That's pretty much it, guys. Listen to the song and hear those different parts, so you can start to piece it together, sequence it together in your mind. You know, you want to memorize that stuff. Of course, go back and listen to the beginning where I'm playing it, but I'm not going all the way through the song, obviously. So that's a great way to memorize tunes. You know, based on what you're having to do on the guitar, you memorize this blocked out section, and then you hear it in the tune, you go, oh, cut and paste that, right? Instead of trying to think so note specific. I mean, there's a lot of things that we could talk about here, and there's different ways to think about music, but you know, the way that you memorize and learn stuff and practice is going to continue to evolve, and you'll apply that to these things, making, you know, something that you did 6 months ago or a year ago that felt very difficult then feel very easy later on if you're practicing the right way and thinking about it, just being mindful and cautious. Be methodical in your approach. One thing I wanted to say, if it isn't obvious, use a lot of alternate picking here. It doesn't have to be constantly down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It depends on the rhythm and where you're moving to on, moving to on the guitar, but you don't want all down picking. There's just so much wasted energy in that. So if you are a player who is finding themselves doing all down picking and you're working on this song, this is a great opportunity to just work alternate picking into your arsenal, because it will be the foundation of everything that you do. And of course there's going to be variations, but that's a great spot to a great technique to lean into, and then you'll modify things as you need to based on whatever song or riff you happen to be playing. So let me know if there are any questions. Have fun with that, guys. That's a really fun song to play once you get it down. And if you don't have software to slow it down, you can slow it down on YouTube to 75%. 50% will be kind of warped, but I highly recommend getting some software where you can take your MP3, plug it into the software, and slow it down to the speed that you can play it at, and then just bump it up little by little. That's the best way to practice. It'll get it in your ear. You won't feel like you're chasing your own tail, playing it too fast. So anyways, that's it. See you in the next video. Thanks.